Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I can't believe how far it's come, and we're almost at 3K subscribers. Now, sorry about the hair mess, I'm growing it out a bit, hopefully I'll get a haircut soon. But this week, I'm really excited to try out Luminkey's version 2 of the 75%. This is the Luminkey 75 V2. And of course, we're gonna have to get into the unboxing, take a look, see is it worth it, and how good is it at work, typing, feeling, or playing games, and more. So let's get straight into the video, and please make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps this channel.
So starting off with the unboxing of the Luminkey 75 version 2. This box looks amazing. I think they made a really great box design. They really put a lot of effort into this board, I can definitely tell. I was definitely enjoying opening up this box. Of course, you know how I am. I'm not so good at opening up boxes, but I'm trying my best to get better at it. So let's get it open and take a look inside. Now, first things off, we get this box, and I was wondering what it was. It did say accessories, so this is where all of your accessories are going to be. So you get a braided coiled cable. You get some extra screws just in case if you need them, as well as some silicone padding that's really great for your board, the bottom of your board. So you have extra screws, which is really great. And then you're gonna get some screwdrivers. So if you want to take apart your board, or you want to make some modifications, they already provided you the tool. And you get a switch and keycap puller, as well as a USB dongle. You actually don't get extra switches though, which was quite surprising to me, because at this price range, I thought it'd be, you know, a basic thing that they would provide. Now, this board looks beautiful. Like, I actually think this board looks so well done. So clean. And wow, like, I actually have to admit, like, this thing looks really good. And it feels really premium. Like, I gotta admit, the wheel and the whole board itself actually feels incredibly premium. Like, wow. I gotta admit, they put a lot of work into the design, and I love it. I actually really love this design of this board. And it actually feels really, really hefty too. Like, it feels incredibly hefty. So, of course, we're gonna have to weigh the board, and then we'll go into the sound test. So, let's see how much it weighs for the Luminkey 75 V2. So we got on top, it's 1.9 kilos, and let's go into the sound test. So now that we're done the sound test, let's open this board up. Let's take a look inside. So this, I thought would need a screwdriver because they give you, you know, those tools, but actually it's not. This is actually a gasket mounted board. So top comes off very easily. You know, it's one of those very simple, no tool needed disassembly board. Get the lid off. It feels really nice. I gotta admit, they use some really, really premium materials for this board. Now, of course, the volume knob actually comes out. It's actually more modular, so it's not difficult to take off and not difficult to put back in, which is really good, because if it was difficult to put back in, that would be a problem. And you know me, I break things very easily. So this thing has socks. It's got an interesting design though, I have to admit, and it has a PC plate. So you get a foam on the bottom, you get a decent foam in the middle, and you have a pour-on foam on the bottom of the case as well. So you have 3 foams in total. Now, this board looks so sleek. Like, wow, I'm so shocked how sleek this thing looks. But of course, we're gonna have to get my trusty tool and open this up. So there's only a total of 4 screws, which is really nice. Very easy to open up. And then we're gonna see what's actually on the weight, or what's inside to make this keyboard run. So underneath is actually just the battery, and you have this little knob there. It's just part of the design, so it goes right on there. Of course, the battery goes in there as well. It's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, so it's not actually a large battery. Especially, usually most battery or most keyboards nowadays comes with, a lot of like 8,000, but this one is only a 4,000, so it's not going to have as long of a battery life as you might have hoped compared to say some other boards. Just thinking about like the comparisons and price range, like the Zoom 75, which did have 2 batteries, so it's not bad, but it would be nice to have a little bit better battery life. But of course, it depends on how good is this keyboard and the PCB, sorry, not the PCB, the daughter board, able to really manage that battery life. Now, it is difficult to put this back together though. That's something I noticed. Putting the weight back in is a little bit difficult, so when you're doing it, just tilt it, push it in, and then the way I'm doing like right now, hold it with your hand to be able to put it back in. It'll make it much easier for yourself. So we're going to put this back together, and one thing I'm going to do in this video that's a bit different than what I normally do is I'm actually going to also show you how clacky this board is, which is going to be removing all the foams and doing a sound test with it. But before that, let me just show you how to put this volume knob back in. So it just has a little notch there. You just put it in and you're good. You just plug it in, you're good to go. It actually works like that. So really nice that it does that. But as you can see there, I'm not putting the foams back in, and I'm going to give you a clacky sound test. I really gotta admit, that was quite surprising. I have to say that no foam sounded actually really, really nice. And I think maybe possibly I might run it that way. Except for the spacebar, I probably would add some kind of foam there because I just didn't like how the spacebar sounded. It had a little bit ticking without any foam on the keyboard. So now we're gonna modify this to make it sound a little bit thockier. So this way, those who are interested in this board have different options, and they can definitely see what options that are available. So I think because there's not much room in this keyboard to actually put in foam or extra dampening, we're just going to do a 2-layer tape mod. I think that's going to be the easiest thing we can do. I put in 2 layers. So this is what it's like after I put in 2 layers. It's only 2 layers. Did not do any more than that. We're going to put this whole board back together. And of course, I'm going to give you guys a nice sound test of what it sounds like with it modded. And of course, I'm going to have to fix that spacebar because I said it has a bit of ticking. I really do not like ticking. It really bothers me when a spacebar ticks. That's why I always try to do the best I can to fix all of my spacebars for every keyboard and any spot with a stabilizer pretty much, because sometimes you get enter keys, backspaces that also tick, and it just sucks. But yeah, 2 layers fits completely fine. You can close it up easily. You just have to press it in really hard because this thing is actually quite tight and really needs to be pressured to fully close. So as I said, I'm going to actually modify the spacebar. So of course I'm going to grab my car sound dampener, just cut it up. I love using this thing because it's just so easy, and it does do magic with spacebars. Like it really does magic with spacebars, but make sure it's not really on those spots where it's actually connecting into the stabilizer, because if you get it too close to the edge, you're not going to have a very smooth spacebar. It might actually stick a bit. So let's do a sound test now. So let me know down below what you guys thought of the sound test. But now I want to give you guys a little bit more in depth with this board. So first of all, let's take a look to see what switch is being used in this keyboard. So in this board, it's going to be using the Luminkey Astral switches. So this is a linear switch, PC top, palm bottom, palm stem, and total 50-gram travel distance. So it's not too heavy, but not too light of a switch. I personally don't like the switch too much, because I feel like it's not super smooth. I think at the bottoming out portion of the switch, it kind of gets scratchy. Like, it just has this a bit of a weird feeling to it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but yeah, it's not the best feeling switch. Now, in terms of this keyboard, I've used it at the office, at work, and it's not bad. It's not too loud. Definitely could use it in the office space, and didn't have people complaining or anything. People actually like the sound of it as well. So definitely a office friendly keyboard. Now, in terms of type feeling, it feels okay. I couldn't get my max speed of typing on it though. I felt like it was a bit, I don't know what to say. It's just a little bit awkward in some points when I was typing with it. I just couldn't get my maximum speed, because I type about 136 to about 142 words per minute. On this one, I was getting maybe about 126 to 130. So there's something to know about that. Now, in terms of gaming, I have used this for gaming, and it's supposed to be 1000 polling rate, so the latency is not bad on this board. But in terms of gaming, like, I was fine for most of it. But in terms of moving around, like the WASD and Apex, felt like sometimes it just felt like it was disconnecting a little bit. Like, I almost felt like my movement was being cut in certain portions. So that is something to note and to just be wary of. So let me just give you a look at the software and a bit of my typing. So going into the software, as you can see, this is with the Luminkey driver. So the tri-mode version doesn't actually work with VIA. I think that's honestly a mistake from Luminkey's part. I think they should have just kept both, with both compatibilities, like VIA or the software. And I just don't like the fact that I can't make any modifications to the board here with terms of like what keys are what. I'd like to change my delete to be actually where the page up, page down is, instead of where home should be. So it's just unfortunate that I can't do that. You can change the key sensitivity though, so that's quite interesting, I think, because most of the time I've only faced that with like Hall effect boards. But the software looks fine and it's okay, but yeah, like, you only get macro FN settings. I really think they really should have gone with the VIA. I think it would have been better. Honestly, I think it should have been both. Like, until this software it really turns into something even more amazing, I think it's a mistake that it's not VIA compatible. I actually would prefer it to be VIA compatible. I think many people actually would prefer it to be VIA compatible. So maybe Luminkey can really look into that. Luminkey, when you see this video, please consider adding VIA support to the tri-mode version. Now, I'm going to use Keyboard Inspector to check the polling rate. So, doing a test, it comes out to be 1000 hertz. So, it's supposed to be 1000 hertz polling rate keyboard, which means it's enough. It's more than enough to play video games with it. And it's also good for, say, like office use too, right? Now, let me show you guys typing. Let me show you guys my typing. Like, as you can see here, I'm making typos. I don't really make tons of typos. Usually my error rate is like 1 to 2% only when I do monkey type. And as I said, I usually get 136 to 142. Here, I'm making tons of typos. I've restarted a couple times. It just doesn't feel super smooth in terms of typing for me, in terms of comfortability, say compared to say when I use my other keyboards. I think, yeah, this is just one of the things I have to point out, right? Like it says raw 130, so just mind those things. Now, for this board, I do want to show you guys and kind of compare it to say other boards. So like say the ND75, the Rainy 75, which I don't think is the best comparison with these, just because this one is a much higher price point, right? This board tri-mode is at 199 USD, so that's 200 USD, which is almost double the other boards. I would say the best would be comparing to say something more around the same price range, but I'd say the build quality is really good compared to them, but it's really, let me just kind of give you guys a more in-depth.
So I'm gonna be doing up a little bit different in my videos now. So this is the Luminkey 75 V2. I want to give you more of my thoughts facing the camera than just the simple outros that I've done. I feel like just they don't connect together well. Now, I've tried many different 75%. I've tried this one. Obviously, you see this one. I have two different versions of the Zoom 75. I've also tried ND75, Rainy 75, and what other 75s do I have tried? Oh, there's so many different ones on top of my head. Sometimes I can't remember. But the price range for the LK75 V2 is not a low one. This is going to be, this specific version is like 200 USD. So comparing this with the Rainy 75, ND75, it's not going to be a good comparison. That's why I tried only that little small portion of it, just explaining the comparisons, but it's not a very good comparison because this is very much out of the price range compared to those two. So specifically the ND75 and that. Now compared to the Zoom 75, this would be a little bit more of a better comparison because they're around the same price range. Now, I would say they're very different in terms of the feel. Like this is a much thinner keyboard than say the Zoom 75, right? The Zoom 75 is just quite a bit thicker in terms of the thickness. Now, I would say they both have a very different sound profile. They're both supposed to be the very easy, quick access, remove the top and then put it on gasket mounts, but it's a very, very different feel. If you're looking for something a little bit more like those who like a clacky sound, this could really be a better version for you. The Zoom 75, I feel like, just has a lot more foam. It's meant to be a bit more of a thocky keyboard. This can be thocky slightly, but not super, super thocky. And in terms of clacky switches and using them, like I would maybe look into getting like a nice clacky switch and actually change it, because these switches don't feel so amazing. I feel they're a little bit scratchy, especially when you hit the bottom. It kind of feels very, very scratchy. So I would say in terms of my review of this board, like I think the quality is really great. I actually really like this board. Honestly, like considering the price range, you think it's a bit high, specifically when it's not providing like a ton of other aspects like much more foam, or like say in like the Zoom 75, right, where like it has a lot of different foams, different types of gasket mounts, plate mounts, and like just so much more things that it's offering, while the LK75 V2 doesn't offer a lot of those things. But I'm gonna be honest, I actually feel like the quality of metal used in the LK75 V2 is a little bit higher than the Zoom 75. Feels very different. I think the Zoom 75 did amazing in terms of the detail. This one just feels really smooth, and it feels incredible in the hands. Like if you weren't able to actually ever try it out in a place and like, or someone close to you has one, I would take a look at it and just have a feel of it, because it just feels amazing. And the SCASCI mount actually is really, really cool. Like, I actually felt that this was pretty amazing in terms of just the feel of it. So, you know, for $200, if you are someone who is looking for something a little bit more premium than, say, the other boards that I've reviewed, right? Like, the Zoom 75 is more on the level of this board, right? They're both about $200. But the Zoom 75, of course, you're going to have to get keycaps and switches on top of that, which is why I feel like, and they do provide you so much things with it, like a carrying case and more. This doesn't come with that. I like the thockiness of the Zoom 75. In terms of like the typing feel, the Zoom 75 typing feel is much better for me. In terms of the feel of the board and how it looks, the quality of it, this is really, really well done. I have to admit, quite well done. But again, as I said, the lacking features, the software, not so great. I think they should have just made the VIA compatible for all versions of the board, like not just the wired only, but even the wireless should have been done with a VIA. I'm gonna be honest, that software, the Luminkey software, it's still just not there yet. And like, I'm really sorry, Luminkey. I love this keyboard, but the software, I hate it. I really do hate that software. It just is not offering much, and it doesn't offer me much in terms of compared to VIA. Like, using VIA software would just be much better. So that is my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and of course, please check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video.